Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the Morale Booster Podcast. I am Dr. John Ugulu, your host. Today, we are thrilled to welcome our special guest, Jessica Rivera. Ladies and gentlemen, let's embark on this inspiring journey together. If this is your very first time joining me on the Morale Booster Podcast, I want to say welcome to you. And please like and share this broadcast. And here's the reason why. It's because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear this message. Today, I will be having a conversation with Jessica Rivera. She is an executive coach and business consultant known for her no-nonsense approach and transformational results. With certifications in leadership and organizational development and real-world experience leading a $4 billion sales and marketing organization at Santander, Jessica brings a unique blend of strategy and deep insight into human dynamics. She works with leaders and organizations from Fortune 100 and 500 companies to growing teams, helping high achievers move from relentless action to leadership rooted in flow, confidence, and alignment. And through her coaching, Jessica transforms how leaders communicate, she inspires trust, and create cultures of collaboration and belonging. Jessica's approach unlocks the power of words, presence, and influence, empowering leaders to achieve extraordinary results while leading authentically. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please join me as I bring to the stage no other person but the great, the no-nonsense Jessica Rivera. Thank you, Jessica, for joining me on the Morale Booster Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Thank you for that introduction.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you for being here. You know, it's not easy to have someone like you take time off your extremely busy schedule to come here. And I know by the end of the program, the listeners will gain insight on proper leadership and organizational management. So God bless you for
Thank you.
coming by. All right.
Thank you.
So, all right. What part of the country are you streaming from right now? Are you joining from?
I live in New York. So
Okay.
I live on Long Island, just outside of the borough. So I grew up in Brooklyn and Queens.
Okay, that's great. Great. Good to know that. All right. So I know you help leaders transition from relentless action to leadership rooted in flow, confidence, and alignment.
hmm
Can you share a defining moment in your career when you realized this shift was essential? And how did it transform your approach to leadership?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're running a $4 billion organization, as you mentioned, I think, I grew up in hard work, right? And hard work gets you everywhere. That was kind of my thought process, right? And so just keep your head down and work hard, and you will get noticed, and you will get, the accolades, and you'll get the promotions that you need. And what I realized was that hard work does get you places, but it will not get you what you truly want and desire. And so what I mean by that is that there comes a point where when you really want to climb the corporate ladder, you have to be able to brag on yourself. You have to be able to really shine and not be so humble. Really be understand how to kind of show up and show out and be able to brag on yourself. And through that process, that's where I really understood the power of my words. And that plus, I was also managing a team, high earners, people who did a lot, accomplished a lot. And I did not want to manage them the way I managed because it was actually the way I was managed because I was frustrated, right? I would have to say the same thing over and over again. And I almost felt like, and you hear this from leaders, like it feels like you're babysitting. I didn't want to feel like that. I heard a high executive one time say that it's the feeling of I love my church, but I can't stand my congregation. And I did not want to feel like that. I wanted to love my church and love my congregation. And that's where the shift started happening for me. Because as leaders, we have a lot to do. We have so much on our plate. And babysitting, as they said, was not part of it, right? It's like that feels like something that's annoying. But true leaders know that your main job is to create more leaders. And that's when I really started learning and exploring and understanding I don't want to manage my people, I want to coach them. And everything got better then.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, you talked about hard work. And sometimes I hear people say, hey, you don't have to work hard, you have to work smart. But it beats my imagination because you need to first of all work hard before you can figure out the smart way. Is that
Right.
correct?
Well, yes, I think it depends on what area of your career you're in, right? And so while working hard is important, yes, it is. And I think when people for me, when I say work hard, work smart, not hard, that means stop creating more problems for yourself. Stop taking on other people's responsibilities. Stop making someone else's problem your problem. That's what we tend to do, right? And especially when we work hard and we want to prove ourselves to everyone, we're taking on more than we need to.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And you also buttressed a point that resonates with me. You said leaders create more leaders. And in order to create more leaders, you have to do a lot of babysitting, a lot of hand holding. Is that correct?
I disagree. I think I think that in order to create more leaders, you have to first lead yourself. And so once I know how to be an expert on leading myself, what does leading myself mean? That means I take accountability. That means that I give tough feedback. That means I have difficult conversations. That means I accept and ask for feedback. So once I become a master at leading myself, then it becomes easier to lead others. And so I think that it doesn't take hand holding and babysitting. What I think it does take, though, is trust. It takes allowing others to make mistakes and learn for themselves. It takes you being able to guide and shepherd, not do it for them, which can be tough for
Okay.
a leader. It can be tough
Yeah.
for a leader, right? Because we know best. We've done it already. We are the experts. And so sometimes it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to allow this person to do it their way. And if they make a mistake, I'm going to be there to support them. Now, when I say it does take difficult conversations, that doesn't mean you let people do whatever they want. It does not mean that. But what it does mean is you're correcting. You're allowing for them to reflect and let them tell you where they made the mistake, not you telling them what to do all of the time. So it's a little bit of a mindset shift for you to really be able to create the leaders that can be self-led and also create teams that are self-led.
Wow. Thank you so much. That's a fascinating perspective. And thank you for sharing that. Great. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are still listening to us, please remember to like, comment, and share this broadcast. We're currently streaming on only three um, video platforms, so only three platforms can actually see the video. But we are on 17 plus audio platforms, so we never can tell where anyone is listening to us from. So thank you so much, Jessica, for sharing that. So you emphasize the power of words, presence, and influence in leadership. So how
Mhm.
can leaders cultivate these qualities to inspire trust and foster a culture of collaboration and belonging?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you think about the power of your words, I mean, it's easier, I think, if you think about when you've been hurt by somebody else's words. Right? Because that you probably think of that right away. So when you think about the way someone has hurt you with their words, then you can flip it to how have I used my words to hurt someone else? And we've all done it, right? We've all been there. And really just thinking that part through and thinking, okay, well, how can I be better at that? How can I deliver messages that land and resonate, but don't hurt people? And typically that starts with us reflecting on how we're feeling and what we are thinking before we go ahead and speak right away. And so, really being thoughtful with our words, really understanding how do I want to feel? How do I want the other person to feel? That already will change and shift the dynamic of every conversation you have. Then, when you think about the power of your presence, the power of your executive presence, your leadership presence, and I'm talking home or at work, either way, when you think about, okay, let me be more thoughtful with my words. How do I want to feel? How do I want the other person to feel? What's my energy? What's my presence like when I walk in? Am I annoyed? Am I frustrated? Or am I light and airy, understanding, okay, I really want this conversation to go well deep within my soul, right? Then you think about the power of your influence. The power, when you think about creating belonging organizations, that's your influence right there, right? And so typically people think, okay, the organization is responsible for making me feel like I belong. And when you think about an organization, it could be where you work, it could be your peer group, it could be a networking group, it could be your dynamic at home. Those are all kind of like organizations, right? But you could also think of yourself as an organization. What's my responsibility? How do I make sure that everybody that comes around me feels like they belong? Now that's where you create influence. And when you think that way, okay, what's the power of my words? Let me make sure I'm thoughtful. What's the power of my presence? Let me make sure that I feel good about this conversation, that I'm not coming in frustrated and annoyed and angry. And then what's my influence? How do I make sure that people feel like they belong when they're around me? You are creating trust like that. People will start telling you things and being vulnerable with you where they weren't before.
Yes, thank you so much. And I typically encourage leaders to do lots of trainings on emotional intelligence as well, because too many leaders they lack that. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, for me, and if you can look at books, many lessons, you're going to have your leaders that aren't emotionally intelligent and still successful. That is true. That will happen. But they burn people out quickly. So if you are more of a heart-centered person like me, it is important for me to create real, long-standing, deep relationships. That's what makes me happy. That's what makes me feel amazing on the inside. That's where I feel truly successful, when I have a real connection. So if you're one of those people and you want a real connection, skills and tactics matter, but the people are going to, that's really what's going to help you build a successful organization and business, right? People matter. People are what help us thrive. And so if that's what you want, you have got to get your EQ up. And when you look at many books and you read leadership books, they will tell you EQ matters almost more than IQ.
Yes, that resonates with me. I concur. EQ matters more because it's people who run organizations.
That's right.
Organizations don't run themselves.
That's right.
And when you do not have people to follow you or people to lead, then there's no leader there, right? There's no leadership.
Well, things become more challenging, right? Things are so much easier. Think about when you work with somebody you trust, things happen a lot faster. When you work with someone that you don't trust, you're overthinking, you're wondering what they're thinking. Like it's just, everything, there becomes a bottleneck there. When you work with people you trust, everything happens faster.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. So now, with your extensive experience in both strategy and human dynamics, what's the biggest misconception leaders have about building high performing teams, and how can they overcome it?
Yeah, when it comes to strategy, I think that leaders will tend to focus on the strategy first, right? How do we get from A to Z? The problem is we need to focus on people first. Because when we focus on, I'll give you an example. So I did business to business sales and I had a sales team. And as the leader, again, you're the expert. You've probably done it before. So you know how to help them. Just do this, and this, and that'll get you the result that you want. And when they are not doing it, there's a much deeper problem. There's usually a confidence problem, a knowledge gap. Typically, it's not a knowledge gap. Typically, it's a confidence gap. And so when we peel those layers back, then we can figure out what is really going on here. And so I'll give you a quick example. I was on what we call the ride along with my salesperson, and she said, "Okay, we're going to go meet this owner of this small business." Um, the revenue was somewhere around, I think it was like $10 million, and she's like, "He does not like to meet with sales reps, and he's not going to have a lot of time for us, but he will give us some time." So we go in. From my perspective, the guy didn't want us to leave. He was very intrigued, he was very engaging. And so when we leave there, I'm thinking to myself, where did she get this idea from? And so she came from the industry, and I asked her, "Well, what did you think about salespeople?" She's like, "Oh, no, no, I loved them." And I said, "Well, what do you think your owner thought about salespeople?" And she said, "Oh, he had no time for them. He didn't think they brought any value." I said, "Okay, that's where she's getting her thought process from." And so once we were able to break that down, now, mind you, she did push back on me when I first brought it to her attention. But over time, she said, "You know what? You're right. You're right. I was bringing that mindset in with me." And what I realized is that when I broke that down, I was wrong. I bring so much value, right? So it was more about the value she was bringing in and the thought process she had about previous um, experience that she had that she was bringing into her new position. So again, it's really about the leader understanding, okay, what's the human aspect here that I have to work on versus the skill.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's a beautiful one there. And you, like, your experience is top notch.
Thank you.
So I must say, the people who have you to themselves right now, they should be proud. They should be grateful for that.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So,
I always tell my friends, you guys are lucky you get me for free.
yeah. So there might be somebody out there now who would benefit from this question I want to ask you. Um, I know you deal more with Fortune 500 companies and the bigger companies. This is a question: if you now, Jessica, were to start a business and you do not have the budget to hire a sales team, because we all know the importance of having a sales team. That's the heart. Sales is everything, right? And
Sales
you
is
do not have
everything.
you do not have the budget to hire sales people, and you need to build a sales team, and the business is new. What would your strategy be to develop to create that sales team?
Well, that's pretty much the position I'm in right now, right? When you are a solopreneur or an entrepreneur with a small team, and I have a small team, but not sales, I kind of run the sales. So what do? You network. Your When they say your network is your net worth, 100%. So if you are not used to networking, get used to networking. Decide where you want to spend your time, right? And so at first, you're spending time everywhere because you need to make sure that you're getting the brand out there. And so if you cannot afford to create a sales team, and to be honest, I think that in the beginning, you should be your own salesperson because that's how you are able to train and know what kind of salespeople you want and need. And how can you even explain the product in a sales format? Because it's very different to explain a product in a technical format than in a sales format, right? So, how could you do that if you've never done it yourself? And so, I would say understand your product, understand how you sell it, right? What's the emotional component there? Because we're emotional beings. We buy on emotion. So, how do you want to make sure you make that connection in a real, authentic way? So, I think you are your own best advocate. If you're the product or you created the product, you are the expert and you should be able to sell it first before you start hiring people to sell it for you.
Wow, that's a great point. So being the owner of the business, the founder of the business, the one who can endure even when the budget is not there, you should, you have to be your own salesperson. You have
Yes.
to be the person because you are the person with a passion. You are the only one who knows, hey, if I don't do this, it won't work. So,
Correct.
okay, that's great. Thank you so much for that. So, you have to be the salesperson for as long as you do not have the budget until
Mhm.
through your own personal sales, you are able to generate the income to bring others in. Is that
Right,
correct?
and then you can explain it and train like that because you've done it yourself.
Yes. Yes. And I always encourage people to write down the process. It doesn't matter how small or new your business is, always spend time creating a flow, a process, just so prepare, know for a fact that the business will expand, it will grow up, it will expand, and you will bring in people. So every step you take, try to document the process so that it will be easy for you to tell whoever you're bringing in, say, hey, this is what I do when I get to work in the morning. I do A, B, C, and D. So if
Well,
you
listen,
follow this, yeah.
yes, if you don't have a process, then what are you actually doing, right? If you cannot repeat that process, then it's very difficult for you to grow and expand, right? I said this even when I had a sales team when I was in corporate. If you cannot explain how you got that sale, it's going to be very difficult to duplicate that. Not only that, how do you perfect it? How do you make it better when you don't even know what you did in order to get the sale? And so documenting that, documenting all of your processes is key because then when you bring someone in, here you go, here's the document. Here you go. Here's where we start, right? And so creating documenting your processes is key. And to your point, it doesn't matter how small you are. Also, having a process period is key because it's going to make your life easier. Listen, we don't remember everything, right? So it's like if you just got a sale and you don't know how you got that because you didn't go through a process, it's going to be challenging to duplicate.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I chose to ask you that question because I know these days we have too many people talking about entrepreneurship, too many people who want to be entrepreneurs, and many of them have not even gone through the process of going through like a corporate ladder to see how things work. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was my training ground, right? Being in
yes.
corporate, that was my training ground. And it was a beautiful one because all corporate does is have processes, which is great. And so I learned so much from being in corporate that helps me today.
Yes, and that's a great training ground for anybody. So, for those who have not been through that corporate ladder, it's very important for you to document your process.
Yeah.
Have it at the back of your mind that your business will expand. Don't just feel it's a small business. No, envision the bigger picture. Envision your business expanding like the way banks do grow.
That's right.
And for that reason, you must have a process in place. Thank you so much for sharing that. Let me go straight to another question. Now, I know leading a $4 billion sales and marketing organization must have required both high performance and resilience. So, what mindset shifts do you believe are critical for leaders to maintain both success and sustainability in high stake environments?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a world that's just like so fast paced, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're in, it's a fast paced industry typically. And so I think, resilience is important for sure, but having that solution based mindset, that's going to help you. Because and I say you don't want to be a problem solver, because the problem solver is focused on the problem. The solution finder, they are focused on the solution. So what we can sit here and complain all day long, but that is not going to help us. So why don't we figure out what are the possibilities here? What are some of the solutions? What's something that we can be thinking about differently? Okay, this problem happened, it happened. Now what do we do? Sitting here and talking about the problem is not going to help us. So I think leaders really need to focus on solutions, whether we're talking about a technical problem or we're talking about a people problem. What is the solution? How are you going to get to the other side of this problem? I think that is really, really helpful. And I think understanding that being a leader is so challenging, because the technical pieces are usually the easier ones. The people part, that's usually more difficult, because we have emotions and we have feelings, and there's lives going on in the background. But I think really leading with compassion is really helpful, but then also leading with accountability for yourself and for others. That is really helpful. Brene Brown always says, clear is kind, and the clearer you can be about what is expected, what is in their mindset, the power of being able to ask questions instead of making assumptions. Oh, that person should know. They've been here for 3 years. They should know what they're doing. No, no, no. Ask them. What is your job responsibilities? You tell me, right? The power of asking questions, the power of inquiry and curiosity is, I think, vital. Not I think, it is vital when you are a leader.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. You said having a solutions based mindset. That is key. That resonates with me completely. You also said leading with passion. Passion is key to leadership. You need to have the interest of people at heart. And you also said leading with accountability. So those are great mindsets that every leader should constantly fuel and develop within them. Really do appreciate your response to that. So this will be my last question for you, because I know you're a very busy person, and you've got a lot to do right now. Okay, so for leaders looking to transition to a more authentic and aligned leadership style, what are the first practical steps they can take to begin this
Mhm.
journey right now?
So typically, or many times, we lead the way we were led. Even if we didn't like it, we still pick up those skills, right? Because that's what made the other person successful. So that's what I should probably be doing. I would say look within. Write down the qualities of your most favorite leaders, and write down the qualities of the leaders that you didn't like very much. And then do a self assessment on where you could do better. And I think that's a perfect place to start. I will always send you to self inquiry, self reflection, because everything starts with self. The second, you could even think about, okay, what was the last person I complained about? And I want you to think about, you created that situation, you created that dynamic. Every single relationship in our lives we created. And so, what could we do better? What could I do better? But I think it's not in a beat myself up kind of way. It's more in a reflective kind of way, in a curiosity kind of way. So, really looking at a good way would be looking at, okay, what are three qualities I really love about leaders I've had in my life? What are three qualities that I didn't like about leaders in my life? And that can even be with your parents, right? Because listen, parents aren't perfect. And they came with qualities that they didn't like that were done to themselves as well. And so it could start even there. So I encourage and I really challenge people to go super deep. It's not only about leaders when I started my work experience, it could be leaders when I was a child, because we bring those people along the way with us as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We need to look within for any aspiring leader or any leader who's thinking of adopting great leadership styles. Look within. And she said, look for those mentors, those people in leadership, those leaders you admire, would love to be like. Write down some of the qualities, attributes that they have. Look for some other leaders and compare so that you can identify your leadership styles that would work for you. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been a pleasure having you here. I believe you are a published author. Is that correct?
Yes, I did contribute to Latinas Who Boss Up back in, I think, 2021.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
All right, no problem at all. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can always reach out to Jessica. Her contact information is right there with you. She is on Instagram,
Yes.
she is on LinkedIn, and your website is jrcoaching.com. Is that correct?
No, 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 no. It's jessicarivera.co. And you can find me on Instagram at Coach Jessica Rivera.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much. Please, ladies and gentlemen, go and follow her now. If you've got any leadership questions, feel free to send her a direct message and she will get back to you at her earliest convenience. It might not be immediately, but she will get back to you as soon as she can. God
Yes,
bless you. Thank you so much for joining me on this program. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. I have I have gotten so many reminders from you, things that you know I would be able to adopt going forward because they say leadership is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong learning process.
that's right.
Leaders learn every day because every situation is different. And as leaders, we have to be solutions based, which means we have to constantly stay ready because we get hired to solve problems. So we should always come in with the solutions based mindset. And thank you so much for all the words of wisdom you've shared on this platform today. I know somebody somewhere has been blessed. I hope when next I invite you to the Morale Booster podcast, you will be willing to come share some words of wisdom.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, ma'am. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. Whatever has a beginning surely does have an end. And we're excited to share some amazing ways for you to stay connected with our mission and continue to grow together. Your support and engagement means the world to us. If you have not already shared this broadcast, please share it and bless somebody today. And here are ways you can get involved in what we do. You can support our mission and help us continue uplifting lives by making a donation. No amount is too small. Donations made to John Ugulu Foundation are tax deductible because it is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So if you feel what we're doing has empowered you or empowers people, or if you feel what we're doing is beneficial to the community, please go ahead and visit www.johnugulu.com, www.johnughulu.com to make a donation today. If you're looking for inspiration, you can also purchase some of our inspirational books on that same website, johnugulu.com. If you want to listen to our latest podcast episodes, you can as well visit that same website, johnugulu.com. The links will be there for you to listen and download. Lastly, you can become a part of our growing community, which is the Morale Booster Empire, where we uplift and inspire one another every day. Subscribe today for just $10 and receive exclusive content, daily motivation, and access to special events. When you are a subscribed member of the Morale Booster Empire, you have the opportunity of being nominated for various awards including the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. When you subscribe and you put in your volunteer hours with us, you can be nominated for that award when you have put in the required number of hours. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. And together, we can continue to make a lasting impact and spread positivity in all we do. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Stay blessed, everybody, and bye for now.
Bye.